If you've been playing the Pokemon trading card game online long enough, no doubt the thought has crossed your mind. How many other people actually play this game? The main chat lobby only has a few people in it, and in this case there's just one person in it right now, and the only populated lobby that you can select from over here, out of, battle challenge, deck discussion, new players, rules, all that, the only one that is actually populated is the trading post, and it's usually just the same few people spamming the same message over and over again. Well, unfortunately, there isn't an in-game player counter. If you go to the front page, right now it's for Darkness Ablaze, that's coming out real soon. And then it just shows you just a couple basic things on the front page, but no actual player count. So if you're in the actual game itself, you will not find a player count anywhere. But all hope is not lost. By checking out the PTCGO leaderboards on Pokemon.com, we can get a rough estimate of how many other players are playing the game right now. Before you continue with the video, take your bets and leave them in the comments. I was surprised by the final number, though I guess I shouldn't be too shocked, given that it's rare to face the same opponent on a given day. And before I continue, you can just pause it here and read this. Just basically, I'll be sorting by versus points. You can sort by versus points and tournament rep. But tournament rep is just for those who enter the events, while versus points is just the people who go through the versus ladder and, get your 2,000 points every 3 weeks. And that is easily the more populated one, so I'll be sorting through versus points. Keep that in mind. Anyway, let us start. I think I'll save overall for last, and I'll start with theme, which may surprise you with how popular it is, but it's where every new player goes. I still play theme. When Darkness Ablaze comes out, I'll test out the new Darmanitan and Sirfetch'd decks. So theme is a place you just keep going back to. And starting with last month, I'm filming this in August 2020, so during the month of July 2020, there were, drumroll, how many players? There were 111,319 players in theme last month alone. Additionally, you can sort by last season. I already have that selected here. You can sort by last season, and if I had to guess, I'd say that's from the previous set to the current set, so that would be Sword and Shield base set at the beginning of February to Rebel Clash in May, so from February to May, that would be last season. How many players do you think there were? Well, going to the final page and scrolling barely any, we can see that 123,904 players checked out theme last season. So in the span of 3 months, you could have seen upwards of 123,903 other people in theme, and I think that's pretty crazy, to be honest. But one thing to note is that I'm assuming this is people who logged in and at least attempted to play one game, because when you scroll down to the bottom, you see that some people got 0, and there's these registration new accounts. I don't know what those are, but I think they're unique users. But if I have to guess, it's people who at least attempted to play a game or at least logged in or something, and you can have your country be non-applicable? Okay, so those might be guest accounts or something. But you can have a score of 0. So this is just going to track active users, not those who just have an account, I assume. Again, there's still a little bit of guesswork here, but if I had to guess, I'd say there were about 124,000 players in theme last season. And what about standard? Well, I'll start with last month. So for the month of July 2020, this might surprise you because standard is actually less popular than theme and expanded. As someone who pretty much exclusively plays standard, I'd say 95% of my content is standard. That's definitely surprising, but I guess, I'll talk about expanded in a little bit. But for standard, last month there were just over 43,000 players in standard. And unfortunately, Pasta Tester is the lowest ranked player, so unfortunately for them, they are at the very bottom of the barrel. And in terms of all of last season, the numbers actually aren't that much different. There's not a huge spike or anything. There were 43,000 in July, and over the previous 3 months, from February to May, there were only 46,000 players. But I guess that just goes to show that a lot of new players, they start with theme, then they move to expanded, and then they go to standard just because standard is a lot more competitive and the cards are always changing, whereas with expanded, there's thousands of cards to choose from. And also with expanded, you don't have to worry about the yearly rotation. So at the end of August, the month I'm recording this, the rotation's going to hit and it's going to take 5 sets with it. Whereas with expanded, you never have to worry about that. It's always black and white, base set to the most current set, and it's very simple. It's very easy. You don't have to worry about anything being removed except the occasional ban. So, speaking of Expanded, how many players played in Expanded last month? Well, there were over 93,000 players in Expanded last month. And last season, there were, let's see here, drum roll. Uh-oh, computer is freezing up. Let's see. Don't fail me now, computer. There we go. 102,236 players, so over 100,000 people played in Expanded from February to May. That is more than double the 46,000 that played in Standard during the same time frame. That is kind of crazy. And finally, we head over to Legacy. This is easily the least popular format on PTCGO because it's the one that doesn't change and it takes a lot of work to get into. In the month of July 2020, there were just under 3,900 players in Legacy. And last season, Legacy, I already had it selected. Legacy saw 4,300 players, so there was only 500 extra players between last month and the previous 3 months. So there wasn't that much change between last month and last season. Again, Legacy is just not that popular because you have to spend all your tokens on all of these older packs. It's hard to get into. The format is already defined. So it's not surprising that the player count is low, and it's also not surprising that PTCGO removed Legacy tournaments. The wait times were just way too long for players, so there was just no reason to keep them anymore. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the overall leaderboard. So instead of me having to do all this complex math, I can just go right to the final page and find out. But if you are curious, David is the most popular player around the world in PTCGO in versus points and all these different accounts. Okay, so how many people do you think play the Pokemon trading card game online? For the month of July 2020, there were... internet's freezing up again. There were nearly 192,000 players last month alone. And last season, likely from February 2020 to May 2020, there were just under 210,000 players on PTCGO. I was absolutely shocked by that player count, but I guess that just goes to show how popular this game is worldwide. And speaking of worldwide, when you search by region, it's revealed that 87,000 players are from the US and Canada, 55,000 are from Europe, 23,000 are from Latin America and Caribbean, 21,000 are from Oceania, and 3,000 are from Africa, the Middle East, and India. So, to recap, the least popular format is Legacy, and I'll go by last season for all of these. Last season, Legacy saw 4,300 players, Standard saw 46,000 players, Expanded saw 102,000 players, and Theme saw 124,000 players. So if you are brand new to PTCGO, odds are you're starting with Theme, going to Expanded, and finally dipping your toes in Standard once you get a handle on things. And to wrap up the video, I will mention that the reason no one's ever chatting in that first lobby, this main lobby that you get entered into, it's because PTCGO has several active main lobbies, and when you log in, it randomly puts you into one. So it's completely the luck of the draw whether yours has one person or just a bunch more. Just in case you're wondering why, this game has hundreds of thousands of players, why am I only allowed to speak to a couple? Well, that is why there's a bunch of different lobbies you could just randomly find yourself in. So if you want to find something more focused, select one of these, but keep in mind that the trading post is about the only one that is actually populated right now. And that wraps it up. If you're one of the hundreds of thousands of Pokemon card players out there, why not consider subscribing? It will help me out more than you can possibly know. Or if you're not interested in that, maybe leave a comment with how excited you are for Darkness Ablaze this month, Champion's Path in September, or Vivid Voltage in November, depending on when you actually watch this video. Trust me when I say that every little bit helps. Thank you for watching, and in my next video, I'll tell you how to find yourself some free PTCGO code cards and some free packs within PTCGO and outside of PTCGO. I will see you then.